Jim Pettit, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
For our viewers, your company name, your symbol, and what market can they find you on?
The company name is Aben Resources Limited. The symbol is ABN on the Venture Exchange, Toronto. And then it's also on the OTCQB in the States under ABNAF.
Okay, so a couple of ways of getting.
And we do trade a lot.
Getting in on this property.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the company. When did it come together, and what properties do you have, and which ones are you active on?
Well, we've got 3 projects right now. And it takes a little bit of explaining, or we need to explain a little bit about the other 2. The main one is the Forrest Kerr, which is in the Golden Triangle, northwestern British Columbia. That's the one we've spent a lot of money and time on the last 3 years, well, to 2016 actually, when we assembled it all. We also have a project in the Yukon, which was the remaining property of about 5 we had up there. We've weaned them all out over time. When the Yukon was really hot, we've kept the Justin and Hit properties. They're very similar in nature, and they're on, Hit's just north of Justin. We've done most of the work on the Justin up there.
Okay.
Still worthy of more work.
Yes.
Just wait for a better time for the Yukon. It's expensive.
Yes.
And then we've got a 3rd project, the Chico, which I'm making a determination over the next month or 2 of whether we're going to proceed, because I think it's a really good potential property. It's right on the southern border of SSR's property, and where the old Claude Resources mine.
Right. Yeah.
Their Fisher property extends right down to us. Ours is called the Chico property. And we were getting ready to drill it 2 years ago, had the camp set up, and then the trappers came along in their sleds and realized that we were there. They said they didn't know anything about it. As far as we were concerned, the whole community had been told about it, and we'd gotten permitted, and we had many meetings with them. And anyways, they all protested it, and instead of having a big confrontation, I just shut it down.
Right.
Pulled
so it's
everybody out.
Dormant at the moment.
And the government was quite upset that this happened. They didn't. That's one of the best jurisdictions in the world.
Yes.
To be in, and so the government has put us in relief from assessment.
Yep.
For an indeterminate time till we figure out what we want to do. So that's not going to get any work on it.
But primarily, where you're most active right now is in the Forrest Kerr project.
Forrest Kerr is spending 90% of our money.
So where are we at there?
Well, we're now 4 years into it. No, 2016 was assembling the ground. 2017 was our first drill program, was extremely successful.
Yes.
9 holes. 3 of those holes hit massive grades.
Yes.
The classic 10 meters of 38 grams, 32 grams. And those 3 holes were indicative of a zone. And then the season's over. Next year we come back.
Yeah.
And, in the off season, the stock goes back down to 7 to 10 cents. And then we start up again, and the stock does its run, and it's an area play up there, so it's got a lot of eyes on it.
Yes.
And our first hole from 2018 was, I've never seen a hole like that, especially in Western Canada. It was massive. There was 4 zones in that hole. But
in the one hole.
Primary, the big zone was, pretty substantial. It was another one of these 38 grams, but over a much greater intersection. And then there was an upper zone and 2 lower zones below it. And that zone allowed us to raise immediately $4 million, took down $1.5 million in warrants, and I had already raised $1.5 million for the season.
Yes.
And Eric Sprott took down half the $4 million.
Okay.
And he's still there. He's got the the Midas touch.
Yeah.
He's investing in a lot of deals because this is the time to do it. In his mind, it's all cheap. It's all cheap. It's a good deal, and so that's our primary interest right now. That's where we're focusing. So that year, I upped the drilling, the meterage that year to 10,000 meters, and then that also gave us the money for this 2019, which was almost 10,000 meters as well.
Yes.
And I've still got $1.5 million left over, and I'm looking at things right now that what to do for this year. I've got.
Do you have a drilling plan for this year?
It's by the end of this week. I will.
Yep.
Cornell will be in town. He's the VPX, runs the program like I've never seen a program run before. That's an expensive area to work in.
Yeah.
It's very extreme terrain, and he's got our costs to about $250 a meter. Whereas the Yukon, I remember last time I actually did a big extensive program up there, it was more like 450 to 500.
Big difference.
And so, yeah, he's got a really good control over things. And he's doing the modeling right now. He's got the 3D modeling coming in. We've got an awful lot of analytical data.
Yeah.
Plus, we've done a big airborne mag survey this year that kind of directed the drilling we were doing. And so this past year, we didn't hit the great big high-grade zones because we had drilled 35 holes in around that high-grade zone that we hit initially. It's called the North Boundary Zone. The whole area is called the Boundary Zone. And so what we did is we took the geophysics and kind of coordinated that with surface sampling, geochem.
Yeah.
And then we're testing a little bit longer holes, drilling into these and moving south. And we were hitting longer intersections of lower grade gold, plus it was polymetallic, which you didn't have in the North Boundary Zone. We had gold and silver, sometimes associated to chalcopyrite. Not all the time, but that's when we knew we were onto something, was the chalco. But now we're hitting more of these longer low grade intersections, and it's polymetallic. So something's changed.
As an investor, as I'm listening to you right now, I'm going, okay, what's my opportunity right now? I come in right now, what's the opportunity?
Well, if you want to look at it from a chart perspective, you just look at the seasonality of it. This is a big seasonality play. It's about a 3 to 4 month season up there. It ends just before tax loss selling. So everybody exits. Doesn't matter how good it is, they exit. Takes a few years to stabilize everything. But, from a resource perspective, it's still one of the best environments in the world to be drilling.
Yes.
The one knock on it is the complexity of it. The structures are very hard to nail down.
So when you talk about how complex that region is, what is the infrastructure in place in the region that's going to allow for the build out of this as an operating
the infrastructure's
mine?
That's why everybody's back there.
Yeah.
It's been years. I think 93 would have been the last big cycle there. And this, prior to that, it was Murray Pesham's day, right?
Yes.
That was the introduction that year of flow-through financing. That's what made it take off. And that's what helped get Snip and Eskay Creek up in production.
Yes.
Aside from the fact that they were two of the richest mines put into production at the time.
Right.
Today, it's the infrastructure's changed dramatically.
Yeah.
The road is paved all the way up to the Yukon. Basically, it used to be a dirt road.
Yep.
There's an airstrip right on the highway, which we use. That's where we base the helicopter out of. It comes, picks everybody up there.
You got power, you got water.
There's a massive power system right there.
Yeah.
AltaGas built the McClymont Power Station.
Yeah.
It has 3 run-of-river projects that all flow into the one. And it's producing so much power, I think we're selling about $1 million a day in energy to Washington State.
Wow.
It's a big, from Terrace, Kitimat area up to the mine site.
Yeah.
And then up to Dease Lake. The power line's huge.
Yeah.
It follows the highway.
Yeah.
And it's a straight run north.
Right.
And so you've got enough power there for probably 30 more mines. It's insane how big it is.
So what's your long-range objective with this?
Well, one more thing is
Okay.
there's lots of contractors up there now. As far
You've
as
got available talent. Yes.
The helicopters, the drillers, the core handlers, everything, they're there.
Is this a property that you're going to develop and hope to see acquired, or is it a property that you're hoping to develop and build out?
Our model is to sell.
Yes.
We're explorationists.
Yeah.
I've got Ron Nedlitzky's the chairman of the board. He's one of the best. He was in on Snip and Eskay. Tim Tremundi is a project generator. He's on the board, very active with me. Cornell's an amazing geologist, got a really good eye.
Yeah.
And we have access to a lot of other geologists to assist.
Yeah.
That are some of the best in the biz. So we're going to take it to as far as we can. We may take it to a point and go, okay, this is all there is. We would also like to preferentially take it to a point where we can get the interest of a major to come in and start spending some of their money, and then you give them a first right of refusal to.
Right, but you've got the team, you've got the property, you've got promising results.
Yeah, I mean, one of the, especially for pretty much grassroots exploration business, I don't like taking something that's never had work on it. What we have here is a property that was 3 separate claim units owned by 3 separate companies. Yeah. We brought it all together and compiled all the data they had over the last 30 years.
Yes.
Massive, 20,000+ soil and rock samples.
Yeah.
120 holes drilled. And we put that all into a compilation study to give us a direction to go when we first got into there. And it turned out to be a heck of a success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
And, we want to keep going. I mean, there's a lot of mineralization that we're hitting, and it surprises now it's more polymetallic because you got zinc, silver, gold, copper, lead even. It's just something's happening. We're awfully close to the Kerr fault, where you get a lot of subfaults coming off it. So the complexity is there, and we're getting a better understanding as we go. Plus, we have a massive database.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in and bringing us up to date. All the best on this project.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it sounds very exciting.